That doll across the room, it's staring at you. Those glassy eyes, they seem to follow you around. And that porcelain smile, it's frozen in place. You feel a knot in your stomach. It's not your imagination. It's a primal scream from deep in your brain that something is very, very wrong here. But why? Why do dolls, which are meant for comfort and play, often feel like a genuine threat? Dolls have been with us for centuries, and in many cultures, they're seen as a child's best friend. They're supposed to be a source of comfort, a companion for those who are lonely or bored. But there's something about them that just doesn't sit right. Something about their blank stares and lifeless smiles creeps us out. It's not just you. There's a scientific reason why dolls freak us out. Their eyes are too big, and their smiles are too wide. Their faces lack any real features. And that's what makes them so creepy. We're not sure if they're alive or dead, human or doll. And that uncertainty creates a sense of unease. Do you know why dolls scare you? Well, the answer is hardwired into our survival instincts. It's a complex cocktail of psychology, evolution, and the stories we tell ourselves that turn something innocent like a doll into pure terror. That feeling you get from a doll is a legitimate survival response. And today we're going to break down exactly why. Dolls have been around for thousands of years, but it's only in the past few hundred that they've started to creep us out. Before that, they were seen as a plaything for children. But as our world became more industrialized, so did the dolls. They went from being handmade to mass-produced, which meant cheaper materials and a more sinister look. Combine that with the fact that dolls are usually displayed in places of power. It's like the shelves in a department store or the mantelpiece in an antique shop, and you have the perfect recipe for fear. When you see a doll, your brain immediately starts to panic. Why? Because it looks like a human, but it doesn't move like one. And that's what scares you. The Uncanny Valley. Dolls are creepy. I don't think I've ever met a doll that didn't look like it was about to stab me in the face. And apparently I'm not alone. This fear is so common, it actually has a name. Pediophobia, the specific fear of dolls. It's part of a broader fear called automatonophobia, which covers any humanoid figure, from mannequins to animatronics. And for most of us, this isn't a fear we were born with. It's something we learn. But why? Why do so many people develop this fear? Well, there are a few reasons. For one, dolls are often seen as representing death, particularly in cultures where they're used as part of mourning rituals. In these cases, the doll is meant to be a vessel for the spirit of the deceased person. It's often dressed in clothing similar to what they would have been buried in. So if you're already afraid of death, well, that might not help. But there's also something about the way dolls look that's just inherently unsettling. Their blank eyes and lifeless skin can make them seem like they're dead, even if we know that's not the case. And let's not forget the Uncanny Valley. You know that horror we feel when we see something that looks almost human but not quite? What's the scariest thing about these dolls? It's not what you think. There are a lot of scary things in this world that our brain can easily categorize as dangerous. Like, oh, that's a spider. That's a venomous snake. That's a person who's going to try to kill me. But what about things that are a little more ambiguous? Things that make us question whether we're actually safe. That's where the real fear comes from. These dolls are designed to be just slightly off-putting. They live in this weird gray area between human and not human, and our brains just don't know how to categorize them. Are they alive? Are they trying to kill us? We don't know, and that uncertainty is terrifying. It's a phenomenon with a specific name, and it's called the Uncanny Valley. So the next time you see a creepy doll, remember, it's not the doll itself that's scary. It's what the doll represents. The things that we fear most. The things that go bump in the night. The things that could hurt us or kill us. And we don't know which ones are real and which ones are fake. This is the real reason why we're scared of robots. Back in 1970, a Japanese robotics professor named Masahiro Mori wrote a game-changing essay called The Uncanny Valley. In it, he was trying to figure out a weird problem in robotics. People would feel a connection to industrial robots that clearly looked like machines, but they'd feel total revulsion towards robots that looked almost human. For example, this robot, which is clearly not human, is not scary at all. But this one, with its human-like face and movements, is... So why are we scared of robots that look like us? Well, according to Professor Mary, it's because we can sense that they're not really alive. And that's what makes them creepy. It's the same reason why we find mannequins and waxworks so disturbing. They're technically dead things that are trying to look alive. And if we're not careful, they might just convince us that they are. But there's also something else going on here. Some kind of fear of technology that looks too much like us. If robots end up looking exactly like us, then what does that say about our own humanity? Are we nothing more than just advanced robots ourselves? This is the real reason why we're scared of robots. You've probably heard of the Uncanny Valley. You know, that horror movie trope where the killer robot or evil AI is almost human, but not quite? Well, there's a theory that explains why this is so creepy. And it has to do with how our brains process faces. As an object looks and moves more like a person, our liking for it goes up. But only to a point. Then, suddenly, our affinity for it plummets into a deep, unsettling chasm. That chasm is the Uncanny Valley. It's that tipping point where something is so close to being human, but just slightly off. Like, for example, the skin of a wax dummy might look too smooth and shiny. The movement's too mechanical, the eyes too blank. But it's not just that these things are creepy. According to this theory, they're actually threatening. Our brains have evolved to recognize human faces and to feel empathy towards them. And when we see a face that's almost human, our brain goes, wait, is that a person? And if it's not a person, then what is it? This sudden jolt of confusion and fear is what makes the Uncanny Valley so unsettling. Dolls are creepy. Even if you don't believe in ghosts, there's something deeply unsettling about a doll. It's like a cheap horror movie. And one of the worst things about them is that they're always just out of sight. You never see them move. And that's what makes it all worse. Because if a mannequin is still, it's just creepy. But if its head suddenly turns to look at you, that's pure horror movie fuel. This is precisely where so many dolls live, deep in the Uncanny Valley. Their shape is human-like, which triggers our brain's powerful face detection system. But they fail the follow-up inspection. Their skin is too perfect. Their smiles are locked in place, and their eyes, which should be windows to a soul, are just lifeless glass. This is one of the most terrifying things I've ever seen. It's a new species of doll that looks so realistic, yet it's slightly off. Like, look at this one. Her eyes are just staring. And this one, he's got a really weird smile. And then, there's something about the way they move that's just not quite right. It's like a nightmare version of those baby dolls that are designed to look like real babies. And it's this almost but not quite quality that triggers a fundamental sense of unease. It's what Freud famously called the uncanny, the moment something familiar becomes frighteningly unfamiliar. And this strangeness is something our brains are programmed to be wary of. Psychologist Frank McAndrew suggests that because hyper-realistic dolls are so new in our evolutionary history, our brains haven't caught up. We don't have a pre-programmed mental folder for harmless human-like object. So when faced with these dolls, our brains default to the next best thing, which is to treat them like we would a human child. And that means being scared of them. This is the Uncanny Valley, and it's a battlefield in your mind. The main conflict is a glitch in your brain's filing system. Our brains are built for speed and efficiency. To survive, we need to quickly categorize everything we encounter. Friend or foe, edible or poisonous, living or not living. But when you look at a doll, your brain runs into trouble. It's processing two conflicting signals at once. Signal number 1. This has the face and form of a human. Signal 2. Wait, this isn't human. It's a doll. I know because I made it with my own hands. Your brain doesn't know what to do with this information, so it creates a battle in your mind between these two conflicting ideas. And that battle is the Uncanny Valley. Here's signal number 2. This is a lifeless, inanimate object. Your brain tries to shove the doll into a category, but it doesn't fit neatly into person, and it doesn't fit neatly into thing. This failure to categorize creates a feeling of deep unease and anxiety. It's an error message in our threat detection software. If we can't quickly and easily identify something, Our ancient survival wiring tells us to treat it as a potential danger until we know for sure. The doll, sitting perfectly between the living and the dead, triggers this response in all of us. And if that wasn't enough, dolls are designed to mimic human expressions. But because they're inanimate, their smiles are frozen and their eyes are blank, which creates a really unsettling feeling. This is why we find dolls, mannequins, and wax figures so creepy. They're basically a glitch in the matrix, a bug in our system that triggers our fight, flight, or freeze response. Now, some of you might be thinking, I don't feel anything when I look at a doll. I'm not scared or uncomfortable, and that's totally fine. If you're one of those people, you're actually the exception, not the norm. Because let's face it, most of us have had a creepy doll experience at some point in our lives.